E3 has came and gone. Xbox finally put on their show, and this is where I'm going to talk about what happened in that show and my thoughts on that show. But before we get on the video, definitely hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video. You can always subscribe to the channel for weekly content, and don't forget to go over there and follow me at Twitter at LordAddictILP. Without any further ado, let's talk about this Microsoft E3 show. What's going on, you guys? Gaming Ad here, coming at you with another video. You guys know what this is about, man. We're going to talk about that E3 show that just went on. I watched the entire thing with the Iron Lords podcast, did a live reaction. I will put that in the comment section below if you guys want to see my reaction to certain announcements that was at the show. So definitely go down there and check that out if you guys want to see that. First off, this video is not going to be really scripted whatsoever. I'm going to just go with the flow with this video, man, because I feel like this particular E3 was special, and we know why it was special. This is why it was special. For the past few years of Microsoft, we can all agree that there's been a lot of stuff that they've done that a lot of hardcore audience has questioned, and for the most part, we wanted to see more. We wanted to see how Halo was looking, because last year, a lot of people did not like the direction that 343 was carrying Halo, and that was the first thing that I really want to talk about today. I felt like Halo looked 10 times better than it did last year, so I'm gonna go ahead and give 343 the benefit of the doubt in terms of Halo. I think that maybe the pandemic had a lot to do with what the showing was last year. People forget that conference last year, that video conference, was during the pandemic, and you could probably say that when they were making that trailer for last year, it was most likely one of the worst times of the pandemic. It's right when everyone got to sit home. They had to do a lot of stuff at the last minute in an unusual way that they normally do these type of events. So to see the drastic difference that Halo looked and the way that they presented Halo this year was very refreshing. Now let's talk about the actual presentation that they showed today. I thought they did fantastic work in terms of how the pacing was on this show. And if you take away the content, because at the end of the day, what is shown at these conferences is subjective. I might care about something someone else doesn't care about, and they might care about something that I don't care about. But in terms of presentation by itself, I have to hand it off to Microsoft. They found a really good way of doing it. The pacing was there. I really enjoyed how they went from one game to another. There wasn't a lot of talking, and that's the kind of presentation that I personally want. Now let's talk about the content in general that's going here. Now, at the end of the day, like I said, it's subjective, but I felt like for the most part, about 88 to 90% of the games that's shown at this conference appealed to me. And keep in mind that what I like the most of it is the diversity that Microsoft has been able to work into Gamepass. The diversity that Microsoft has been able to work on their platform in general. Microsoft went out there today at this show and they said, look, you might not necessarily like everything that we're making, but you're going to like some of it. They're trying to appeal to as many gamers as possible. That way, when it comes to people subscribing to Game Pass, there is something there for everyone. Another key point that I felt like they really wanted people to know at this conference is like, look, I know there is a lot of questionable stuff going on in terms of the studios that we bought. I know a lot of people are still confused on where these are going. And you know where they're going, ladies and gentlemen? They're going exclusively on the Xbox in terms of consoles and PC. And I think that is pretty much the centerpiece in terms of what they wanted the messaging to be. They wanted the messaging to be, look, if you want to play these games that we're showing you now, you have to have an Xbox or you have to be on PC. That is the only place to get them on console is the Xbox Series S and X, and some of these the original Xbox. At every point of turn, Phil Spencer and the trailer itself would say Xbox exclusive. They wanted you to know that when it comes to Bethesda games, if you want to play Bethesda games and you want to play them on a home platform, a home console, you're going to have an Xbox to do that. Microsoft has single-handedly today and last year, because I do feel like some of this is last year, when they showed Fable, they showed Avowed, they showed you content. They took away that narrative that a lot of people like saying, which has always been a false narrative, but it's been a narrative nonetheless. Look, we have games. Sure, some of them are a little bit out of the way, but we have games coming to our platform, and if you give us a little bit of patience, you're going to have not only games, but a lot of consistency into where the games are gonna come. Microsoft has said multiple times that, look, we want to make as many games as we can to keep people in the subscription service known as Game Pass. We want a game to come out on a high quality every 3 months. And between those AAA quality, guess what they're gonna have with that? They're gonna have partnerships with Game Pass coming in day and date. We've seen plenty of that on this. They're gonna have a lot of games in general in terms of maybe not as size as scale of something like Halo, Avowed. They're gonna have a lot more smaller titles going in between these to get you ready to get to that bigger game. Another thing that I noticed from this conference is they are going actively trying to get as many unique games that wouldn't necessarily come to your platform from other places such as Kickstarter. There was a game on there that has been kickstarted that they are getting on their platform day and date, and that really shows you the amount of effort that they're putting into getting games of unique value onto the service. I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing that Microsoft has shown you at this conference is they're like, look, we are competing. I know the Xbox One generation was a little sketchy in a lot of different ways, but that the Xbox One generation is over. This Xbox Series S and X generation, this is where we're going to show up, and we're going to show up in a big way. No longer are people going to wonder if they're competing with the competition. No wonder are they going to sit there and say that there's no games coming and no hope for the Xbox brand. They went out there and they showed you we are not scared to spend money. We are not scared to buy studios, and we're not scared to make plenty of content for our platform. And I have to give my hat off to Microsoft for how they did this presentation and the statement that this presentation gave. I have seen people that have been very skeptical of Xbox on Twitter come out openly on the platform and say, look, that presentation was awesome. The pacing was good. I've seen a lot of different scenarios that this could have went a completely different way, but they didn't. They showed you exactly why they're in this business, and they showed you that they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Now, obviously, there were stuff that I myself particularly did not like in this conference, and to be honest with you guys, it wasn't a lot, but we're going to talk about it anyway, because you guys know how I am. Got to give my exact thoughts on something. I can't hold anything back. First off, let's talk about Starfield. I personally felt like they were promoting Starfield a lot. They've been talking about Starfield subjectively throughout the entire year. When Microsoft bought Bethesda and they did that interview with Todd Howard and Pete Hines, they brought up Starfield in that interview, and they hyped it up in that interview. So me personally, like, yes, it's a me problem, but I feel like a lot of people had the same problem. We expected more gameplay. We wanted to know what this game is. We know almost nothing more than we did this morning about Starfield, and I feel like that's a problem. It's been enough time, Microsoft, and especially Bethesda, that we wanted to see more in terms of this game. Now, I think that Bethesda themselves may have wanted to show more on this game, but maybe Microsoft wants to keep that clip in for, you know, events next year. So although I disagree, and I really felt like they should have shown more gameplay and go more in depth next year, I can understand why they're not showing anything this year, because the game's not slated to come out till holiday of next year. Now let's talk about Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite came out and they looked fantastic. I didn't really see too many issues with Halo besides the very end of that trailer. You know what the end of that trailer was? The end of that trailer was no release date, and it was there was a release date. Let's take that back a little bit. There was a release date, but it was a release date window. And the problem with release date windows is a lot of the times them suckers get pushed back. Do I think Halo's going to get pushed back? I would say at this time it's like a 50-50 thing. I feel like a release window towards the beginning of the year is a lot better than one towards the end of the year. And the release window for Halo Infinite is holiday of 2021. And guess what the holiday season is? The last holiday season of that year. So I feel like there's a decent chance it might get pushed back, but then again, it might not. Maybe they don't know when they want to do a specific release date until they see more release dates coming out from future games. Maybe Halo has been done. Well, not necessarily done. They're still fine-tuning stuff, but maybe it is to the point where they can almost release this thing as a gold status, but they want to see more in terms of what is coming out. We don't know games such as Call of Duty's release date, and I would figure Microsoft would probably know that, but there's multiple variables why they wouldn't show that release date. And as much as it disappoints me to not know when that game's coming out in the holiday season, I can understand why they haven't came out. They could show more in terms of campaign and more towards of multiplayer, and you could see that towards the end of the year at maybe an Inside Xbox, and that's when they show the release date. Microsoft did show announcements here that I was not expecting. For instance, Outer Worlds 2. I thought that sucker was Fable at first, and I was about to flip shit. But it turned out that it was the Outer Worlds 2, and you didn't really know to the very end of that. Now, when I went back and listened to it, you could clearly tell that that's the doctor from the actual game, and you could clearly tell that in terms of armor, that's what they were showing when those people were fighting. But you didn't really know that during the actual event. I had to go back and listen to it to really see what this was. And to be honest with you, the narrator in that trailer sounded just like the narrator that we saw last year at the Fable trailer. So I can understand why I got that mixed up a little bit. But after this press event, after this conference, I think we can all agree that Microsoft is coming. They're not playing around. They are coming with games. They're coming with Game Pass announcements, and they're coming with different variety of games coming to Game Pass. I think this is a fantastic time to be a gamer, and I felt like this particular conference was a great 8.5 out of 10 to me. And I know people will, oh, Addict, that's an 8.5. You spoke so highly about it. That Starfield and the Halo thing was enough to knock it down that 1.5. I would probably... I could definitely see myself giving this a 9 out of 10 once I recover a little bit from not seeing that Starfield gameplay. But anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Was this satisfying to you? Is this something that you guys really enjoyed? And tell me what your favorite announcement was in the comment section below. I'm very curious to hear some of your guys' responses. But until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace.